Hi, I am Manoj and I welcome you to the video recording of the webinar on licensing and registration of food businesses in compliance to Food Safety and Standards Act. This webinar was organized by Food Safety Helpline. It is powered by AURIGA Research. AURIGA Research is an emerging multidisciplinary contract research and testing organization. It is supported by an established analytical division. No food business activity shall be carried out without a valid license or registration under the Food Safety and Standards Act. The food business operators who are registered under any previous laws on food, they are required to convert or renew their licenses as per new Food Safety and Standard Act. The last date of registration for the same is August 4, 2014. The panel of experts who joined us for the discussion are Dr. Pawan Vats. Dr. Pawan Vats holds doctorate in chemistry and he has over 35 years of experience in food safety and management systems. He has been part of various programs on food safety. Dr. Vats has also delivered various lectures on topics just like provisions of Food Safety and Standard Act Rules Regulations, procedure of sampling analysis, adjudication and prosecution, food traceability and recall, and many more. Joined him for the discussion is Dr. Saurabh Arora. He is Managing Director at AURIGA Research. Dr. Saurabh Arora is also the founder of Food Safety Helpline. Currently he is managing 4 labs and a team of over 250 people. This presentation will provide you the relevant information on how the food business operators are categorized to obtain license and registration. What is the procedure and documentation? What are the conditions of the license? And the regulations on products just like nutraceuticals, health supplements, dietary supplements, etc. So here we have the video recording of the webinar and you will hear Dr. Saurabh Arora who is just starting the session.
So very good afternoon to everybody. It's very nice to have you here. I see some people from our last webinar last month are also here. So welcome back and a warm welcome to everybody joining us for the first time. So this webinar we are going to be talking about licensing and registration and covering the major points here. So I'll right away jump into it and start with the first question, and I'll welcome Dr. Vats to answer the questions. So the first question that anything that comes to mind is that who really has to take a license? Doctor साहब किस को license लेने की जरूरत है, registration किसको जरूरत है?
Thank you, Dr. Saurabh, for giving me this opportunity. Actually, Section 31 of Food Safety and Standards Act 2006 provides that no food business can be carried out without obtaining a license or a registration. Now the question is, what is food business? Anybody who are doing the business of food as food manufacturer, or distributor or wholesaler or retailer, or even storage of food products, even the transporters who are transporting the food, hotels, restaurants, catering services, and all these are known as food business operators, and these activities carried out in relation to the food business, they all are required to obtain a license or registration. Now the question is then what is food? This is very important to understand what is food. Food means any substance, whether processed, partially processed or unprocessed, which is intended for human consumption. And it includes even genetically modified food, engineered food, or any ingredients used in the preparation of food, packaged food, or drinking water, alcoholic drinks, and even the water being used in the food during the manufacture, preparation or treatment, they are considered to be the food. But the drugs or psychotropic substances, they are not included in the drugs, or even the livestock or animal feed, cattle feed, which is not for human consumption, that is not considered to be the food.
So anything which is for human consumption other than the medicines, everything is food, and anybody dealing with food at any stage of the distribution right up to the consumer has to take a license or be registered.
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल, ये जो है चाहे वो बिजनेस आप प्रॉफिट के लिए कर रहे हैं या चैरिटी के लिए कर रहे हैं, इवन रिलीजियस प्लेसेस में भी अगर फूड मैन्युफैक्चरिंग हो रहा है और डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन हो रहा है, तो दैट इज आल्सो कवर्ड अंडर दिस एक्ट.
So moving to the next question. So एक और जो होता है क्वेश्चन कि लाइसेंस किसको लेना है, रजिस्ट्रेशन किसको करना है, सो हाउ इज दैट डिसाइडेड सर?
हाँ, इसके लिए क्राइटेरिया दिया गया है। जो छोटे फूड बिजनेस ऑपरेटर्स हैं, जिनको पैटी फूड बिजनेस ऑपरेटर या जो छोटे मैन्युफैक्चरर्स हैं या जो हॉकर्स हैं, इंटरमीडिएट वेंडर्स हैं, जिनका छोटा बिजनेस है, जिनका कम टर्नओवर है, उनको रजिस्ट्रेशन लेने का जरूरत है। और इसका जो है फूड सेफ्टी अथॉरिटी ऑफ इंडिया ने इस पर जो गाइडलाइंस भी इशू किया हुआ है, एक एडवाइजरी दिया है, एक टेबल दिया हुआ है इसमें यह है कि जो इन जनरल क्या है कि जो 12 लाख तक का जिसका एनुअल टर्नओवर है, ही नीड्स टू टेक रजिस्ट्रेशन। और 12 लाख से ऊपर जिसका टर्नओवर है उसको लाइसेंस लेना है। लेकिन थोड़ा ये मिल्क और जो डेयरीज वगैरह का जो काम है, या जो मीट प्रोसेसिंग करते हैं, या वेजिटेबल ऑयल वगैरह का है, उसका थोड़ा क्राइटेरिया डिफरेंट है। उसमें यह है कि अगर मीट्रिक टन का है, उसमें क्वांटिटी का है, उसमें फॉर एग्जांपल दूध के केस में अगर हम लें, मदर डेयरी का जो है, तो उस केस में क्या है कि अगर 500 लीटर तक पर डे अगर उसका जो है प्रोसेसिंग या सेल उसकी दूध की करते हैं, अगर 500 लीटर से कम है या 500 लीटर है तो उसको रजिस्ट्रेशन लेना है। और 501 लीटर से लेकर और 50,000 लीटर तक उसको स्टेट रजिस्ट्रेशन लेना है। और 50,000 लीटर से अगर एक्सीड करता है उसका डेली का, तो वो उसको सेंट्रल लाइसेंस लेना है। इसी तरह से ये दूध के केस में, मीट के केस में, या जो ऑयल्स वगैरह है उसके केस में कैपेसिटी पे है। अगर जो जनरल फूड प्रोसेसिंग है, जनरल फूड प्रोसेसिंग में है कि अगर 100 kg पर डे का प्रोडक्शन है तो वो रजिस्ट्रेशन में आएगा। और 100 kg से और 2 मीट्रिक टन के बीच में है तो वो स्टेट लाइसेंस में जाएगा। और 2 मीट्रिक टन से अगर ऊपर उसका कैपेसिटी है तो वो सेंट्रल लाइसेंसिंग में जाएगा। तो इसलिए इस तरह से ये रजिस्ट्रेशन और लाइसेंस बाय स्टेट और लाइसेंसिंग बाय सेंटर, इस तरह से इसका जो है फूड सेफ्टी अथॉरिटी ने एक टेबल इसका प्रेस्क्राइब किया है, that is available on the website of the FSS also.
So that the table is here as part of the presentation also. It can be accessed on our website foodsafetyhelpline.com also. So basically based on size of the company, size of the business, it is either a registration or a licensing. But generally we can say that less than 12 lakhs is registration, more than 12 lakh is licensing. But depending on the kind of business, जैसे maybe milk and other categories, they have higher limits have been given.
अगर जैसे हम होलसेलर की बात लें तो होलसेलर के केस में क्या है, अगर उसका टर्नओवर 12 लाख से कम है तो वो रजिस्ट्रेशन में जाएगा। अगर 12 लाख से और 30 करोड़ तक, 30 करोड़ इसके बीच में है तो वो स्टेट लाइसेंसिंग में जाएगा। अगर होलसेलर का टर्नओवर 30 करोड़ से एक्सीड करता है तो फिर उसको सेंट्रल लाइसेंस के लिए जाना है। इसमें डॉक्टर सौरभ एक बात मैं और बताऊंगा आपको कि अगर कोई फूड बिजनेस ऑपरेटर एक स्टेट से ज्यादा में डील करता है तो उसको जो उसका जहां उसका रजिस्ट्रेशन है, कंपनी का रजिस्ट्रेशन है, उसका जो हेड ऑफिस है, उसके लिए उसको एक एक्स्ट्रा लाइसेंस लेना पड़ेगा, सेंट्रल लाइसेंस। और बाकी उसको दूसरे जो उसके परमिसेस हैं उसका स्टेट से लेना है या सेंटर से लेना, बाकी के लिए वो उसके प्रोडक्शन कैपेसिटी पे या टर्नओवर पे डिपेंड करता है। तो जो एक से ज्यादा स्टेट में ऑपरेट करते हैं तो उनको एक जो है सेंट्रल लाइसेंस तो जरूर लेना होगा अपने हेडक्वार्टर के लिए, हेड ऑफिस के लिए, और बाकी जो है स्टेट से या सेंटर से डिपेंडिंग ऑन द कैपेसिटी और टर्नओवर ऑफ द इंडिविजुअल प्रेमिसेस।
Okay. So then one more slide is there talking about the restaurants, hotels and dhabas. So for hotels, is there any specific criteria?
Yes, for hotels. In case of hotels, starring is done in case of hotels, and 5-star and above, they have to take license from the central government, and up to 4-star, they have to take license from the state. और जो छोटे होटल्स हैं जिसका टर्नओवर अगर 12 लाख से कम है तो उसमें स्टेयरिंग का कोई क्वेश्चन नहीं उठता, तो उनका टर्नओवर 12 लाख से कम है तो वो रजिस्ट्रेशन में जाएगा।
ओके,
तो इसलिए टर्नओवर 12 लाख से ऊपर है और अप टू 4-स्टार उनको स्टेट से, और 5 स्टार एंड अबव उसको सेंटर से लाइसेंस लेना है.
So sir, other stakeholders like transporters and all in the supply chain, are they also covered under licensing?
Yes. Transporter is also very much covered. उसमें भी यही क्राइटेरिया ऐसे ही दिया गया है, लेकिन उसमें जो है क्योंकि ट्रांसपोर्टर का तो नंबर ऑफ व्हीकल्स होंगे ट्रांसपोर्टर के पास, तो उसका भी क्राइटेरिया जो है दिया है. उसके क्राइटेरिया में यही है कि अगर 100 व्हीकल से ज्यादा है, किसी ट्रांसपोर्टर का जो है 100 व्हीकल से ज्यादा है, वैगन है, या तो 100 व्हीकल से ज्यादा है या 30 करोड़ से ज्यादा उसकी टर्नओवर है, तो उसको सेंट्रल से लाइसेंस लेना है. और उसका जो 100 व्हीकल से कम है और टर्नओवर जो है उसकी 30 करोड़ से कम और 12 लाख से ज्यादा है, तो उसको स्टेट से लेना है. अगर टर्नओवर उसका 12 लाख से कम है तो उसको रजिस्ट्रेशन करना है.
This table is important not only for your own understanding that what license is applicable to you, but also to look at your supply chain. So the act is very clearly saying that you cannot buy or sell food products from somebody who is unlicensed. So
इसमें नहीं डॉक्टर साहब, एक और इम्पोर्टेंट इसमें अगर आप देखेंगे, इसमें जो एक्सपोर्टर इंपोर्टर के केस में है,
yes sir,
जो 100% एक्सपोर्ट ओरिएंटेड यूनिट्स है, उसमें कोई ऐसा टर्नओवर का या प्रोडक्शन का या उसका जो उसमें नहीं है. जो 100% एक्सपोर्ट ओरिएंटेड यूनिट्स हैं उनको सेंट्रल से ही लाइसेंस लेना है. और जो इम्पोर्टर्स हैं, जो इम्पोर्ट कर रहे हैं, उनको भी सेंटर से ही लेना है. उसका इस बात से डिपेंड नहीं है कि उसका कितना कैपेसिटी है या क्या टर्नओवर.
So if I'm using some oil or I'm using a transporter for my product, so that person should also be licensed.
Yes, this is one of the conditions.
And I should know कि उसको license होना चाहिए, registration होना चाहिए, and I think that's going to be an important part of
that is also one of the
qualifying the vendors also now.
Conditions of license also. Any food business operator, he cannot deal with a licensed person. He cannot purchase any raw material from the unlicensed. That is the issue here.
So now we'll move to another question. So what is the procedure for obtaining a license, sir?
For obtaining a license, form has been prescribed for license or renewal. That's a form B. That is prescribed in the schedule, licensing and registration regulations. This is prescribed, and this form B along with the requisite license fee and the required documents. That application has to be filled up. Then requisite license fee in the form of demand draft, that is to be enclosed along with the required documents. There are certain documents which are required to be submitted along with the application fee. And once you apply for the license, unless you hear something from your licensing authority, whether the documentation is incomplete or some inspection is there, if you don't have any communication from that side, then after 60 days you are supposed to be licensed. You can start your business without waiting further. So in general, if your application is complete in all forms, then within 60 days the licensing authority, he happens to be the designated officer also, he has to grant the license within 60 days time.
Okay, so after submitting a complete application, if there is no objection, no questions coming, so in 60 days we can assume that the license has been granted.
Yes.
So sir, what is the fees, the structure for getting these licenses and registration also?
For registration, the fee structure is set 100 rupees. And similarly, for case of central license, it is 7,500 for all type of central licenses. But in case of state licenses, this license fee varies from rupees 2,000 to 5,000 rupees. That depends on the turnover. For example, if turnover is more than 1 metric ton per day, then the license fee is 5,000 for state, because after 2 metric ton, that will go to center.
Okay.
Therefore, if the production is from 1 metric ton to 2 metric ton, the license fee is 5,000. If it is less than 1 metric ton, then it is 3,000 rupees. And for hotels, if it's a 5-star hotel and above, that will go to center. In that case, the license fee is 7,500 per annum. The fee structure, I am telling you, per annum. And hotels 3 stars and 4 stars, it is 5,000. And for others, it is 2,000 rupees per annum.
Okay, so based on the kind of license and production, again the licensing fees is different.
That's right.
Okay. So next question, sir. So now we said that after submitting complete application and documents, so what are those documents which are required for state or central licensing?
Actually, for state or central licensing, in the food safety regulations, a long list is given, but again that depends. All the documents which are mentioned there are not required for everybody. That depends on the nature of or kind of the business. But there are certain documents which are necessary for all. Now, I have told you, for obtaining a license, you have to fill up your application in Form B, and that application has to be submitted in duplicate. This Form B in duplicate, then the blueprint or layout plan of the premises, but that is required in case of manufacturing or processing unit only. And the list of directors is also required, but that is in case of companies, not for others. Name and list of equipments and machinery along with the installed capacity in case of manufacturing and processing units. So for manufacturing and processing units, the number of documents to be enclosed are more as compared to these retailers or wholesalers or who are not carrying this processing or manufacturing, or just dealing with the distribution and this. But one document is very important here, the water analysis report. If any food business operator, he is using water in manufacturing or processing as one of the ingredients in any of the product, then water analysis report from the NABL accredited laboratory is required for that purpose. And the water used for the process, that's potable water, has to be used. And for that, this potable water, its specification is 10500 10,500 ISO specification. So water should be tested as per that standard, and that document is very much required for all the manufacturers and process, and in case of these hotels and restaurant people also, because they are water is one of the important ingredient in their preparations. And the list of documents, this is also placed on the website of the FSSAI. And they can see that and what are the documents required, keeping in view their food business. They can choose the documents what are to be. They can decide what are the documents to be and close along with the application form.
So sir, there's such a long list and so much of decision to be making what papers are to be given and not. So are there some people who can help people with making this document and getting their application ready?
Yes, of course. So many consulting firms are there. Individual consultants are there. If the food business operator is able to file his application and prepare his documents, it is very good. Otherwise, he can take the help of any consultant, or even you have the infrastructure to help the people. You can also provide the guidelines in this regard. I know you can do it.
So I'd like to point out here that we are now actually helping our clients in with their applications also. And if we are not able to help you, we'll definitely be able to put you in touch with somebody who will be able to do the entire activity for you.
Yes, if anybody needs any help in preparation of these documents, we'll be happy to provide all the assistance or helps to them.
So compared to the licensing, the registration, is it simpler, and what is required for registration part?
Yes, registration is very simple, and for filing application for registration, the form is A. So for registration, you have to fill up the form A, and along with that, copy of photocopy of identity proof, and self-attested declaration that he will abide by all the licensing conditions or registration conditions, and he will be following all the sanitary and hygienic conditions required for maintenance of food safety. So only these much documents are required for registration, and for them the license fee is also very reasonable, that is 100 rupees per annum.
So I think this is something everybody can do. Nobody can say कि हम नहीं करा सकते, बहुत मुश्किल है.
Yes, forms are also simple, but documentation is required. That's the thing.
So sir, after taking a license, so what about the renewal of the license or registration?
You see, the license can be applied for a period of ranging 1 year to 5 years. If initially you applied for obtaining a license for 1 year, then your license will be expiring after expiring the period of grant of license. So you have to apply within the time frame, and but if you apply for renewal of the license, then in that case, of course, form again you have to fill up the form B, and along with the license fee, annual fee, whether this time you want renewal for 1 year or 5 years, accordingly you have to deposit the fee. And for this the required documents for renewal, that's also simple for renewal. But for renewal, I would like to emphasize, you have to apply in time, at least 30 days before the expiry date of the license. For example, if your license is expiring on 31st March 2014, then you have to apply on or before 1st March 2014. Otherwise, a fine will be charged 100 rupees per day. If, for example, you need to apply on 1st March of 2014, if you are applying on 2nd of March, then the fine of 100 rupees have to be paid along with the usual license fee. Or if it is you are applying on 10th, then 1,000 rupees. So you need to apply in time, well before time.
So sir, one question is coming to mind: the choice of duration of license, that lies with the person applying, the food business operator.
Yes.
That's whether he wants it to apply for 1 year or 2 years or 5 years.
That's correct.
Okay.
Actually, yes. If you want to apply for 2 years, then you have to deposit 2-year annual fee. If it is 2,000 for per annum, then 4,000 you have to deposit for 2 years, and you can apply for ranging from 1 year to 5 years.
Okay. So now moving to the next question. So what are the documents which are required at the time of renewal or for transfer of a license?
If you are already licensed under some other act, rules or regulations, then you need to get it transferred. For example, if you are licensed under PFA Act, previously you have been doing your business and you are already licensed under PFA Act, and you need to, or you want to transfer to FSS license, or already, because this food safety regulations are in enforcement since 5th August 2011. So most of the people who had applied for license in 2011 or 2012, now and if they applied only for 1 year, then their license must be expiring. So before the expiry date, this has to be applied, and documents are very simple. If any change in documents or information given at the time of previous license, if there is any change in the information which you have already submitted while getting the license, previous license, so that information you have to convey. Other thing is certificate of plan of food safety management system, FSMS plan. That is important. This is required actually for these manufacturers and processors, not for retailer or for wholesaler.
Okay.
If you have FSMS plan or you are ISO certified or this certificate you have, that will do. Otherwise, you have to submit an affidavit declaring for the compliance of good manufacturing practices or Schedule 4 requirements. Either you submit FSMS plan or the affidavit declaring that I will be avoiding this. And again, the other document which is required to be submitted at the time of renewal is list of workers, employees with their medical fitness certificate. Medical certificate, list and the medical certificate. And if there is any change in your, because you know when you applied for license in the form B, there was a column 4 and 5 in which you have mentioned the name of the technical person and also the name and qualification of the person responsible who is supposed to be responsible for compliance of hygienic conditions and all other requirements of the Food Safety Act rules and regulations. You have submitted the name and address of that person. If there is a change, you have to inform.
So now, after applying for a license and the license is granted, so are there some conditions which have to be followed for the license?
Yes. Conditions of license are prescribed under regulation for licensing and registration, and every food business operator, whether he is a licensee or he got the registration certificate, he has to comply with the sanitary and hygienic conditions as applicable to him. Because you know, under Schedule 4, all hygienic conditions to be followed by the food business operators are prescribed under Schedule 4. In that, separate licensing conditions are required for those who obtain registration or who are street food vendors, and separate licensing conditions are required for food processors, manufacturers, and even who is carrying out the business of milk and milk products. There is a separate list of hygiene and sanitary conditions for such type of food business operators. For meat and meat product, who are dealing with meat and meat product, separate list of sanitary hygienic conditions are there. But there are certain which are common for all. That if you have obtained the license, then you have to display the true copy of the license prominently in your premises. And you have to provide access to licensing authority as and when he comes for the inspection. If there is any change, for example, if you have made any construction change in your premises, then you have to intimate your licensing authority. If there is a change in technical person, that you have to intimate. And periodic annual return, that is also to be filed. In case of milk and milk product food business operator, they have to furnish it 6 monthly, twice a year, and other food processor or manufacturer, annual turnover is required to be there. And they have to maintain daily records of use of raw materials and production. This is also one of the licensing conditions. And this testing of food articles by NABL accredited laboratories at least once in 6 months. So whatever food products you are using or you are producing, you have to get these products analyzed from the NABL accredited laboratory or approved by FSS Act. So this is also one of the requirements. And the more important other one is licensees shall buy and sell food products only from or to licensed or registered food business operator. If you are a manufacturer, you have to, if you buy any ingredient, so your supplier, he should be licensed. And if you are further the product you are forwarding to your distributor, the distributor, he should also be licensed. This is that condition.
So I know right now everybody is busy कि जल्दी से license लें, getting ready for the licensing. But I think we need to pay some attention and plan for this also, because if you don't start all of this work now, then compliance to the schedule.
वैसे कानून ये कहता है कि भाई बगैर लाइसेंस के आप या रजिस्ट्रेशन के कोई फूड बिजनेस नहीं कर सकते, तो इसलिए जो भी फूड बिजनेस कर रहे हैं उसके लिए तो लाइसेंस होना जरूरी है, अब तक हो जाना चाहिए। या अभी जो डेट एक्सटेंड करते करते अभी 4 फरवरी 2014 की डेट आ गई है, इस टाइम तक जो है सबको लाइसेंस या रजिस्ट्रेशन करवा लेना है। और अभी तो देखा मैं उसमें फूड सेफ्टी अथॉरिटी ऑफ इंडिया की जो वेबसाइट है उसमें भी उन लोगों ने जो उसमें स्पेसिफिकली दिया है देयर विल बी नो एक्सटेंशन ऑफ डेट, तो इसलिए जो है ये बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट हो गया। अब 4 फरवरी 2014 के बाद जो है कोई भी चेकिंग के लिए आप आ सकते हैं और देख सकते हैं आपने लाइसेंस लिया है नहीं लिया है, तो ये तो जरूरी हो गया है।
Great. So one very common question that we get from a lot of our people, especially the people who are dealing with nutraceuticals and supplements, is that what is the status of proprietary foods, functional foods, nutraceutical, health supplements, and all these similar products under the Act? Are they covered? What is to be done for these products?
इसका जो है रिप्लाई देने से पहले डॉक्टर सौरभ, मैं एक बात बताना चाहूँगा आपको कि जो फूड सेफ्टी स्टैंडर्ड्स रेगुलेशन है जिसमें डिफरेंट फूड प्रोडक्ट्स के स्टैंडर्ड दिए गए हैं। कुछ फूड जैसे स्पाइस है, हल्दी पाउडर है, सूजी है, मैदा है या और जो चीज़ें हैं उनके स्टैंडर्ड दिए हैं, जिसके स्टैंडर्ड दिए गए हैं रेगुलेशन में, दे आर कॉल्ड एज ए स्टैंडर्डाइज्ड फूड। और बाकी कुछ ऐसे हैं, बाकी क्या उसके अलावा बाकी सब ऐसे हैं कि जिसके स्टैंडर्ड नहीं दिए, जो नॉन स्टैंडर्डाइज्ड या उसको जो प्रोप्राइटरी फूड कहेंगे या न्यूट्रास्यूटिकल या हेल्थ फूड या फूड सप्लीमेंट, जिसके भी स्टैंडर्ड उसमें नहीं दिए गए, उस सब का जो है वो उसको बोलते हैं कि प्रोडक्ट अप्रूवल कराने के बाद ही उसको जो है लाइसेंस मिलेगा। और इसमें जो स्टैंडर्ड वो दिए गए हैं जो तो स्टैंडर्डाइज्ड फूड हो गया, उसके अलावा कुछ और भी फूड ऐसे हैं जिसके स्टैंडर्ड तो नहीं दिए गए लेकिन जिसको हम ट्रेडिशनल फूड या एथनिक फूड बोलते हैं। ट्रेडिशनल फूड्स जो उसको हम सालों से बरसों से फ्रॉम ओल्ड एजेस वी आर यूजिंग, अब हलवा है, गाजर का हलवा है, लड्डू है, जलेबी है, इनके स्टैंडर्ड तो नहीं दिए इसमें। या भाई इडली है, सांबर है, दूसरे ऐसे चीज रोजाना हम यूज करते आ रहे हैं, सदियों से यूज करते आ रहे हैं, तो वो ट्रेडिशनल फूड है, उनके स्टैंडर्ड नहीं दिए गए। उसके लिए जो प्रोप्राइटरी, उसके लिए प्रोडक्ट अप्रूवल लेने की उसके लिए अलग से उसकी जरूरत नहीं है। बाकी जो दूसरे प्रोडक्ट्स हैं जिसके फूड सेफ्टी एसेस नहीं की गई है पहले, जिसका मालूम नहीं है या हिस्ट्री ऐसी नहीं है, या नए जो प्रोडक्ट आ रहे हैं, या आपके कुछ अपने नॉवेल्टी फूड्स आप बनाना चाहते हैं, मैन्युफैक्चर आप कोई नए कोई प्रोडक्ट ऐसे लाना चाहते हैं, कोई वेरी स्पेशल फॉर स्पेसिफिक विद द टारगेट ऑफ द कंज्यूमर्स, न्यूट्रास्यूटिकल्स हैं या आजकल जो भाई मसल बिल्डिंग के लिए दूसरे जो भी हेल्थ फूड से इस टाइप के जो फूड आ रहे हैं, उसके लिए जो है आपको प्रोडक्ट अप्रूवल लेना पड़ेगा। प्रोडक्ट अप्रूवल के लिए अप्लाई करना पड़ेगा, वो FSSAI में अप्लाई करना पड़ेगा, वो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट से तब उसका वो मिल जाएगा प्रोडक्ट अप्रूवल, उसके बाद ही आप जो है लाइसेंस के लिए अप्लाई करेंगे। तो ये कुछ ऐसे फूड्स हैं, इसमें मॉडिफाइड फूड आ गए, आपके डाइटरी फूड्स आ गए, न्यूट्रास्यूटिकल्स आ गए, वो सब आपको लेना पड़ेगा। ये न्यूट्रास्यूटिकल फूड को और हेल्थ सप्लीमेंट्स को, इसको देख के जो है मुझे याद आया, जो आपने अच्छा क्वेश्चन रेज किया, कि इवन जो मेडिकल स्टोर्स पे न्यूट्रास्यूटिकल्स और हेल्थ सप्लीमेंट्स और फूड सप्लीमेंट्स वो लोग भी बेचते हैं।
रिटेल का
अगर उनका जो है 12 लाख से ऊपर का टर्नओवर है मेडिकल स्टोर्स का, तो उनको भी लाइसेंस लेना पड़ेगा। अगर 12 लाख से कम है तो रजिस्ट्रेशन लेना पड़ेगा, ये FSSAI का लाइसेंस भी लेना पड़ेगा। वैसे मालूम है मुझे उनके पास ड्रग्स एंड कॉस्मेटिक्स का लाइसेंस होता है, लेकिन वो तो ड्रग्स के लिए है ना। अब ये तो फूड प्रोडक्ट है, फूड प्रोडक्ट की सेल के लिए, मैन्युफैक्चर के लिए, उसके लिए भी जैसा आप एक्टिविटी कर रहे हैं उसके अकॉर्डिंगली आपको लाइसेंस लेना पड़ेगा। इफ यू आर ए मैन्युफैक्चरर, आप बेशक फार्मास्यूटिकल फॉर्म है, फार्मास्यूटिकल मैन्युफैक्चरर्स है, प्रोडक्ट्स हैं, दवाइयाँ बनाते हैं, उसके साथ साथ आप न्यूट्रास्यूटिकल्स और दूसरे ये हेल्थ फूड्स विच आर कंसिडर्ड टू बी फूड, अगर आप ये ऐसे बनाते हैं, डिस्ट्रीब्यूट करते हैं, बेचते हैं, तो जो इसमें करता है उसको भी अलग से लाइसेंस लेना पड़ेगा। और उसके लिए जो मैन्युफैक्चरर है उसको प्रोडक्ट अप्रूवल लेना पड़ेगा। या इसके लिए ये भी है कि अगर ऐसे प्रोडक्ट्स कोई इंपोर्ट करता है तो उसको इंपोर्टर को उसको भी प्रोडक्ट अप्रूवल लेना पड़ेगा, उसके बाद उसके लिए लाइसेंस मिलेगा.
So any product for which standard is not prescribed in the act,
yes,
becomes a proprietary food.
Proprietary.
And for proprietary food, you have to take a product approval.
हाँ, except ट्रेडिशनल फूड जो सदियों से यूज करते आ रहे हैं, और ऑलमोस्ट ये कह सकते हैं कि उसकी जो फूड सेफ्टी है ऑलरेडी हिस्ट्री कैरियर
हिस्टोरिक. ठीक है. So now we mentioned product approval. So sir, what is product approval?
प्रोडक्ट अप्रूवल तो एक प्रोसीजर है जो आप अपने जो प्रोडक्ट है उसकी अप्रूवल FSSAI से लेने का एक ये प्रोसीजर है, और उसके लिए फॉर्म है, प्रेस्क्राइब्ड फॉर्म है. फॉर्म उसमें 1A है, 1B है, 1D है. वो आप जो है ना डिपेंडिंग ऑन द इंग्रेडिएंट्स यू आर यूजिंग इन दैट प्रोडक्ट, वो उसके अकॉर्डिंगली जो आपको फॉर्म फिलअप करना है. और उसका जो प्रोसीजर है वो भी अब पूरा प्रोसीजर फूड सेफ्टी अथॉरिटी ने अपनी वेबसाइट पे दिया है, तो प्रोसीजर फॉलो करना होगा उसके लिए.
So I think when does a FBO need and what products required? I think those two questions we've already covered. So we'll come to last. What is the fees for getting a product approval, sir?
इसका जो है 25,000 rupees पर प्रोडक्ट. और इसमें यह कि if the ingredients are same and only you can call them variants, if but one is orange flavor, the other one is vanilla flavor, but the ingredients are same, then that's considered to be one product. So for each product 25,000 rupees. And earlier, if that product is sent for assessment to the scientific panel or scientific committee, then again you are supposed to submit another 25,000 rupees
for scientific
evaluation. But from 5th September of 2013 onwards, this fee, extra 25,000 rupees for this assessment evaluation, now that has been exempted. So only now 25,000 rupees per product.
And that covers all variants. So there could be different pack sizes, different flavors, etc.
But ingredients should be same. Ingredients should be same. Only variation in use of color or flavor, and that should be permitted one also as per our FSS regulations.
So now some of our audience said they're also involved in the import and export. So what are the guidelines for importers and export-oriented units for compliance?
Actually, this as far as importing of food is concerned, whatever food is imported into India, that food should comply all the food safety standards, act, rules, regulation, whatever food law applicable in our country, that should be in compliance of our domestic food law. So packaging and labeling is very important. That should be according to our regulations. And for 100% export oriented units, they have to obtain a central license. And if they are using this product for domestic market also, then they need to have product approval if it falls under the category of those foods which needs to take product approval.
Okay. So all importers have to follow our rules and regulations in terms of all these
every food product which is imported into India, that should comply with Indian food standards, rules and regulations.
And for exporters, central licensing, plus obviously they have to follow the requirements of the importing country as well.
That's right. That's right. The exporters, they have to supply their food product according to buyer's requirement and the law of the of that country, of that importing country.
Sir, so during we were briefly talking about the conditions of license. So we also talked about the sanitary and hygienic requirements. So are there some very particular hygienic and sanitary requirements that have been prescribed in the Act?
Yes, I told you earlier also. These are according to the food business activity, and this Schedule 4 that prescribes all the sanitary and hygienic conditions. But in general, the location of the premises should be away from filthy surroundings, adequate space for manufacturing, storage and for movement, installation of equipments, The premises should be kept clean and in hygienic conditions. Water used in the manufacturing, that should be potable one. And equipments and machinery should be of good design, easy cleaning, and efficient drainage system. Personal hygiene should be maintained by employees. These are the basic sanitary and hygienic requirements, and others are the product specific.
So the Act also talks about high risk products. So what are these high risk products?
Yes, very important.
What is their importance?
There are certain food articles which are prone to microbiological contamination, and they are termed to be these high risk foods, जिनका शेल्फ लाइफ बहुत कम है और जो जल्दी खराब होने वाले हैं, जो रेडी टू ईट फूड है, वो हाई रिस्क फूड में आ जाते हैं. अब जैसे हाई रिस्क फूड के कुछ ये एग्जांपल जो इसमें है या जो जिसको मानना रेगुलेशंस में, जैसे कट फ्रूट्स है, सैलेड्स है, फ्रेश जूसेस एंड बेवरेजेस, ये जो है हाई रिस्क फूड है. कन्फेक्शनरी प्रोडक्ट्स जैसे केक्स है, पेस्ट्री है, मीट एंड फिश प्रोडक्ट, नॉन वेज जो है, दीज आर हाईली पेरिशेबल इन नेचर. वाटर बेस्ड चटनीज जिसमें सॉसेस, ये जो है हाई रिस्क फूड में है. कुक फूड जो तैयार कहीं किया गया है और उसको
पॉइंट ऑफ सेल,
सेल कहीं दूसरी जगह हो रहा है, तो बाय द टाइम इट रीचेस देयर तो उस बीच में कंटामिनेशन हो जाएगा, उसको हाई रिस्क फूड में कंसीडर करते हैं. या फूड्स जिसमें ज्यादा ग्रेवी हो, वो भी हाई रिस्क फूड है. फ्राइड फूड्स है, फ्राइड फूड्स में कौन सा ऑयल लगाया है, क्या लगाया है, उसके लिए बड़ा ध्यान रखने की बात है. और जो कुछ इंग्रेडिएंट्स जो है कुकिंग के बाद डालते हैं, जैसे गार्निशिंग करते हैं, धनिया जनरली हम लोग जो है इंडियंस, उसमें यह है कि सब्जी के ऊपर हरा धनिया काट के डालेंगे या किसी और गार्निशिंग करेंगे उसका, तो वो बड़े इंपॉर्टेंट है क्योंकि उसका तो कुकिंग होना नहीं होता, एज इट इज दैट हैज टू बी कंज्यूम्ड अलोंग विद द कुक्ड फूड. तो उसमें जो है ना बड़ा खास ध्यान रखने वाली बात है. उसमें 2-3 चीजें बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट है. अब जैसे फ्रेश फ्रूट्स है, जूसेस है, जैसे ही आप जो है जूस निकाला है, फ्रेश फ्रूट कट उसका निकाला, तो दैट शुड बी कंज्यूम इमीडिएटली. उसको रखने से वो जल्दी खराब होने की बात है. या उसमें जो भी वाटर जो यूज करे, दैट शुड बी पोर्टेबल, और उसका जो है वो अगर पानी खराब है या जो आइस उसमें डाल दिया, अगर आइस यूज किया तो अगर वो गंदे उस दूसरे पानी का बना है तो वही कंटामिनेट कर देगा. तो आइस मेड ऑफ पोर्टेबल वाटर हैज टू बी यूज्ड.
I am reminded of one case. We are working with this hotel, so they were getting lot of contamination in their dal makhani, coliform and whatnot. बड़े परेशान क्या हो रहा है. They're cooking it 16-18 hours long. They start and they cook it, and still they're getting contamination.
Yes.
So as you said, the contamination was not from the dal; it was from the cream which they were adding as garnishing.
Yes, correct. वो जो उसके बाद जो डालते हैं, अगर वो कंटामिनेटेड है, वो तो उसके बाद तो उसका कुकिंग हो नहीं रहा. तो अगर वो जो है कंटामिनेटेड है, तो वो पूरी दाल को ही कंटामिनेट कर देगी विद इन 2-3 आवर्स, क्योंकि थोड़ा वार्म तो रहता है ना. बैक्टीरिया को, माइक्रोबायोलॉजिकल कंटामिनेशन को, उसका जो टेम्परेचर है वो अराउंड फिट्स अराउंड 32 to 37. दैट्स वेरी फेवरेबल फॉर माइक्रोबायोलॉजिकल कंटामिनेशन. तो ये सब चीजें उसमें है. कन्फेक्शनरी प्रोडक्ट में 2-3 चीजें हैं. क्रीम जो है वो दैट शुड बी हाइजीनिक, और इसका कन्फेक्शनरी प्रोडक्ट शुड बी केप्ट इन एयर टाइट कंटेनर. उसका एक चीज और भी है कि फिनिश्ड प्रोडक्ट उसका जो रेफ्रिजरेट करे तो उसमें जो है एक्सपायरी डेट उसका साथ लगा के रखना चाहिए, नहीं तो पता नहीं आज बनाया है तो ये उसको मालूम नहीं पड़ेगा कब खराब हो जाएगा. तो या जो मीट प्रोडक्ट्स है उसका बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट है, क्योंकि प्रोटीन्स ज्यादा है उसमें, हाईली पेरिशेबल इन नेचर. तो उसमें जो अगर रॉ मीट प्रोडक्ट वगैरह वो जो परचेज कर रहे हैं, तो दैट शुड बी 5 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड पे या उससे नीचे कम टेम्परेचर पे होना चाहिए. और अगर वो फ्रोजन है तो -18 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड, उससे कम पे होना चाहिए. और दिस नॉन वेज प्रोडक्ट्स, जो ये मीट वगैरह जो भी लिया उसको, दैट शुड बी वॉश्ड विद पोर्टेबल वाटर बिफोर यूज. उसका जो क्लीनिंग की बड़ी इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है. और उसको कुकिंग का है, कुकिंग जो है उसकी थॉरोली करेंगे तभी बैक्टीरियाज मरेंगे. एटलीस्ट 75 डिग्री सेंटीग्रेड फॉर एटलीस्ट 15 seconds. कुकिंग टेम्परेचर इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट.
So sir, if what are the implications of non-compliance or not complying with any of the requirements under the Act?
अभी तो हम लाइसेंसिंग और रजिस्ट्रेशन की बात कर रहे थे, तो पहले तो इसी की बात करें कि अगर लाइसेंस नहीं है तो क्या है. Yes. अगर इफ एनीबॉडी इज रनिंग ए फूड बिजनेस विदाउट लाइसेंस, then penalty up to ₹5 lakhs and imprisonment up to 6 months अगर without license. अगर आप जो है रजिस्ट्रेशन की कैटेगरी में आते हो और आपने रजिस्ट्रेशन नहीं करवाया तो उस केस में जो है पेनल्टी अप टू 2 लाख रुपीस. और बाकी दूसरे और इफ सैनिटरी एंड हाइजीनिक कंडीशंस आर नॉट मेंटेन्ड इन दैट केस इट इज अप टू 1 लाख रुपीस. मिसब्रांडेड फूड, अगर आप मिसब्रांडेड फूड की मैन्युफैक्चरिंग कर रहे हैं या सेल डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन जो भी कर रहे हैं तो उसके केस में 3 लाख रुपए है. और सबस्टैंडर्ड फूड के केस में अगर सबस्टैंडर्ड फूड है तो उसको 5 लाख रुपए है. अगर फूड अनसेफ है तो उसमें तो सजा और फाइन दोनों ही चीजें हैं. उसमें अगर इंजूरियस टू हेल्थ है तो उसमें जो है पेनल्टी ज्यादा बढ़ती जाती है, सजा भी ज्यादा बढ़ती जाती है. अगर किसी को खा के डेथ हो जाता है, कुछ ऐसा कंटामिनेट हो गया, अनसेफ फूड हो गया, तो उसमें तो जो है अप टू लाइफ इम्प्रिजनमेंट का जो है उसमें है. और दूसरा इसमें जो है ये भी है कि द इम्पोर्टेंट थिंग इज मिसलीडिंग एडवर्टीजमेंट. अगर मिसलीडिंग एडवर्टीजमेंट है तो उसमें बड़ा हैवी फाइन है, वो अप टू 10 लाख रुपीज है. अच्छा, अभी इसमें नए एक्ट में एक नई चीज और आ गई है जो पहले नहीं होती थी, किसी फूड लॉ में पहले नहीं था. हमारे जो PFA एक्ट था उसमें भी नहीं था. अब इसमें नया ये आ गया, कंपनसेशन इन केस ऑफ इंजरी और डेथ ऑफ कंज्यूमर. तो उसका जो लीगल हायर है उसका, अगर उसकी डेथ हो गई है किसी कंज्यूमर की फूड खा के, तो उसको जो है जो पैसा उसको देना है कंपनसेशन, वो अप टू 5 लाख, नॉट लेस देन 5 लाख रुपीज. इट इज नॉट लेस देन 5 लाख रुपीज, 5 लाख से ऊपर. तो इसके लिए
So with that we come to the end of our presentation and we'll now be taking up your questions. I see a whole lot of questions are there. So I'll just briefly tell you about our initiative foodsafetyhelpline.com, and I think we'll extend the webinar by at least 10-15 minutes to be able to take up your questions. We've started this website to really help everybody because this is a new law which has come and it is evolving. So we all need to stay updated and learn how to comply to it and really implement it in letter and spirit so that we can benefit the consumer. So we've started this site where we are providing regular updates on the food law. We have discussion forum. We will be doing a lot of webinars. This is our second webinar. And we are also having certain online training courses. We've already put one course on labeling. We are almost ready with the one on licensing and registration. And we're also developing a course on schedule for the hygienic requirements. So I would request all of you to stay in touch and keep on learning more. This initiative has been started by our team here at ARBRO and AURIGA. So we are a FSSAI approved lab in Delhi. Then we have labs in Baddi, Bangalore. We are renewal accredited and we provide a complete solution for FSSAI. We are more than 250 scientists and we are working with almost all the leading companies, be it in the hotel, restaurants, industry, catering, pharma, few foods, nutraceuticals, everything. So we do know a little bit about this work. So any questions you have, we'll be happy to help you out there. So now starting with the questions. So as I said, I think I've got more than 100 questions. So I'll start with the first question that we got. This is from Miss Pooja. She's asking that who should get the license in a religious place?
Actually, the person responsible for maintaining all the sanitary and hygienic conditions and the management is responsible for getting the license for that, and they have to mention the person responsible.
So I think like all temples, there are trust or a society behind them.
Yes.
So that legal identity is responsible for taking it. Okay, so second question is from Mr. Dinesh. He's asking that what about distributors who are not manufacturing any product? They're only in distribution chain. Are they also required to have license and registration?
Yes. According to the turnover, they have to take license from state or center, or they have to go for registration.
Okay, sir. Then we have a question from Mr. Hemant. That what are the rules for nutraceutical license?
For nutraceuticals, they have to apply for product approval, along with all the required documents to the Food Safety Authority of India. After getting the approval or the NOC from the FSSAI, they have to apply for the license.
Okay, so they have to they also have to take their state or central licensing plus product approval for each product.
First product approval they have to take.
Okay, sir.
And for nutraceuticals and all these, and at least for 1 year, that has to be licensed from the center, and after that this license will be shifted to state, or that will be kept with the central licensing authority depending on the turnover or eligibility of that food business operator.
Okay, I have a question from Mr. Rakesh. So he's actually got two questions. I'll put them together. He's saying that they are producing technical and food grade also of the same product. So after applying the state license, can they continue their unit? Or is it so that if they are producing only food grade products, they have to close operations until receiving of the license?
When they are already carrying out the manufacturing or processing of these up to 4th February 2014, they need not to close it. They are supposed, if they have not obtained the license, they have to obtain license by that date. If they don't obtain the license or they don't apply for the license, in that event they have to close it down if they don't get the license. Unlike they cannot carry on any kind of food business without obtaining a license or registration.
Okay. But I think right now they have plenty of time. They can definitely put an application, and there is no question of having to close down.
Right. No.
And actually, this was the main reason why the government has been extending it.
Yes.
I think that how many? 4 or 5 extensions?
Yes.
Have been given.
Yes.
4 extensions. My team is pointing out. So, that's exactly why. And I think you still definitely have time to apply.
Yes. At least they should apply for the license.
Okay. So one question from Mr. Navneet Mehta is asking, for which kind of food business operators only registration is required?
I have already discussed, if the turnover is less than 12 lakh rupees, up to 12 lakh rupees, they need to apply for registration. If you are a food business dealing with the milk products, then daily liquid milk sale, or dealing with milk up to 500 liters of milk, you have to go for registration. More than that, you have to go for license.
So I think so you can refer to that article on our site where we've talked about different, in fact I'll send you the link later on, where we've talked about whether you have to take a license or registration, and that will help you decide based on your business turnover and all. Okay, we have a question from Mary George. She's asking that connected with this slide, whether 100% export oriented units also require product approval or NOC.
If it is only for the export, in my opinion, that product has to be according to the buyer's requirement, buyer's country rules and regulations. So in that event, product approval is not required from FSSAI. If that product is marketed in India also, in that event, he will have to take product approval.
Okay, but they definitely have to go for central licensing.
Yes.
But product approval,
yes.
in our opinion, is not required if it is only for export. But if they're selling the same product in India, then obviously they have to. Okay, sir. So this is a question from Mr. Ganesh Sharma. He's asking that if I'm buying from India and selling in India, then also do I need a product approval?
The product approval has to be taken by the manufacturer or the brand owner. He has to apply for that, and he has to take the product approval, not the retailer or the distributor.
So this is another question now. This is from Mr. Saurabh. He's asking that can we write proprietary food on principal display panel on food pack? If so, what are the conditions for the same?
The proprietary food, that should also comply all the rules and regulation of the labeling and other things, and they can mention if it is not a standardized product, they can mention it as a proprietary food.
Okay. Next question is from Mr. Bhupati. He is asking that do we need to get a license for distribution of a soft drink and ice creams?
Yes, of course. That is very much food article.
Alright. The next question is from Mr. Arjun Sahu. In case of CFA, whether he is required to obtain the license or the manufacturer has to obtain it for that location, carrying and forwarding agent. So they're in the distribution chain. So do they have to take the license or the manufacturer has to take the license?
No,
For their location?
actually, the license has to be taken for the premises where it is stored. For that storage, license has to be there.
So yes, the CFA has to take a license.
The owner of the store, he has to take license.
Okay. Next question. A lot of the same questions actually we I think already answered them. So Dr. Ravi Shankar is asking that is registration possible without product approval? So if I understand, I think you're trying to ask that can a manufacturing...
If it falls under the category of such foods which requires product approval, so for that purpose he needs to take product approval from the FSS Act.
So if one location is say manufacturing two kind of products, sir. One they need product approval for, and another is that they don't need product approval. There are two products. So I think they can take license and continue manufacturing the one without the product approval, but they won't be able to manufacture the one where product approval is required.
That's right.
Great. Some of our products are exactly identical to competitor product which have already got NOC or product approval. In this case, could you please let us know how long the NOC will take if we submit our application under category 1D? Since the product is exactly identical, will the NOC be granted immediately? This is from Sarath Chandar for product approval.
It depends on the ingredients, whether food safety is already there. When the food safety of that ingredient is already established, that will take less time. If that is to be established or the food safety is incomplete, then that will take a longer time. So they need to apply, and FSSAI.
So it has to reach the review stage at least.
Yes,
they have to apply, and once it gets into review, then the review team will decide.
Yes, the documents will be scrutinized, and the ingredients will be scrutinized, additives, and if they all are permitted ones as per our FSS regulations or outside this FDA or these regulations, then they take lesser time. If the scientific study is required for conducting food safety, that will take longer time. So it depends on the product.
Okay. One question from Dr. Ravi Shankar. He's asking that is central registration possible without product approval?
If the same question, we have already answered that.
Okay. So Pooja is asking question, why fried foods are high risk foods?
Fried foods are high risk food because the use of oil is very specific for that. And for fried foods, what you have to take care about for fried foods, the good quality branded oils, fats, that has to be used for preparation of frying, and in that case the in our country, loose oil is not allowed to be sold. So use of packaged oil, use of oils with high trans fat like vanaspati should be avoided as far as possible. And reheating is very important for fried foods. If it has been reheated time and again, in that event this trans fats and decomposition of fat will be there. So this fried foods, in respect of the cooking medium, they are considered to be the high risk food, because if the oil containing argemone oil has been used, then that's very harmful. So because of the cooking medium, they are considered to be the high risk food.
So next question is from Mr. Swapnil Kadam. He is asking that what will be the applicable scope for purchase of banana and apple from different states and selling through rented ripening chambers, pack houses. So I think they are more involved in just purchasing and selling, not processing, distribution.
So as a distributor, or they require license for that.
So I think based on their turnover and
based on their turnover, whether they need
volumes that they are dealing with,
yes,
it will be decided whether they need license, registration, state center.
Actually, what food business activity is being carried out by them, and according to that, it will be decided as per their turnover.
Yes, sir.
And the food business activities to be carried out.
But they definitely do need to go for licensing or registration.
Yes, that's right.
Okay. Next question is from Dr. Manish. He's asking that for product approval, is it mandatory to have NABL report during file submission, or should we wait for query from FSS?
If you want that you get the delayed product approval, if you want to delay your product approval, then you wait for their queries, and but it is better if you submit your file in complete in all respect, then it will be quick correction.
Next question is from Mr. Arjun Sahu. It's a similar question we already answered, but I think we'll still it's interesting. He's asking that he's a distributor who is selling various food products. Then is he required to get separate license for every product or a single license?
No. He is required for his activity, distribution.
Yeah. So the product license
is
the responsibility of the manufacturer. The distributor only has to take license for his distribution activity.
Yes.
Okay. Then the next question is that what is the procedure for import of finished food products for its marketing in India? So this is from Dr. Manish.
The food product which you are importing here, that should be in compliance of our Indian food law. They should comply all the packaging and labeling requirements and all. If it's not a standardized one and it has not been, the standards are not there for that product, then even the product approval is required for that product. If it's a new in our country, then first he has to take product approval, then apply for license, and then import.
So it's exactly the same requirements as a product manufactured in India.
Yes.
For in fact, this has been the cause of lot of consignments being held up at the airports. I'm sure you must have been reading in the newspaper that airports and seaports, a lot of food product has been held up because despite of the law being implemented, the imported products are not meeting simple requirements, even like labeling and all is not being met.
Yes, the labeling requirement is very much required because here I feel in some countries this veg non-veg logo is not mandatory in some countries, but here in our country it is mandatory to be mentioned. So this for all imported food products, the labeling requirements should be as per our Indian food law.
So there is another question from Mr. Jayant. He is asking what is the process if I want to sell proprietary food which has got a product NOC but under a new brand name. So he already has a product approval for that, but he has a new brand name.
When he has changed the name of the product, when it's a new product.
So you'll have to go through.
Yes, and if everything is same, then but even then the name has been changed, so he has to take product approval.
Okay. So the question related to labeling here, is it necessary to declare fat breakup, saturated fatty acid, monosaturated, etc. in every product?
You know, so far, if you have mentioned that this saturated fat free or trans fat free, or it's good for this and that, cholesterol free, then you have to give the breakup all the fatty acids. Otherwise, you just mention the amount of fat contained in it at present. But regulation is there where the breakup of the saturated fatty acid is required, but I think that date has been extended up to 1st July 2014. After 1st July 2014, or then it will become mandatory. Okay. So far it is not.
So far it is not. I think right now only mandatory is protein, fat, carbohydrate and energy.
Yes, first is this calories, then protein, then carbohydrate, then as sugar,
added sugar,
and then fat. This is mandatory.
So right now only these 4 or 5 parameters are mandatory. Rest depend on the product claims.
But if you are claiming
cholesterol free,
this product is saturated fat free or this free, that free, then if he is mentioning about the fat, then he has to give the backup.
We have a lot of questions related to product approval. I think we've answered most of them. So just moving down, I think I have more than 100 questions. Yes, I'm moving down quickly towards the end. Okay. So this is again related to the conditions of license, I would say. So do the distributor and manufacturer both have to display license number on the label?
The license number will be displayed by the manufacturer, brand owner. If he has multiple units and he has mentioned all the name and address of his multiple units, then their license number is also to be displayed along with the name and address of the manufacturing unit. But it's not required for the distributor or retailer to mention his.
Okay. So this is the last question we are taking up. I thank you so much to everybody for your patience and being here. So the last question is that like we just mentioned that the FSSAI logo is going to be mandatory from 1st of July.
Yes.
So will it be required on export packs also or only for domestic sales?
Our law is for the product which are consumed in our country.
Yes.
And if their requirement, buyer's requirement is not, then on the food products which are being exported, that has to be in accordance to the importing.
So I think 100% EOUs are governed mainly by the requirements of the importing country. And rest, I think when you apply for central licensing, all of these points can be very easily cleared up during the audits.
Yes. When you apply for the product approval, then the label, the sample of the label has also to be submitted along with the application file, and at that time all the issues can be sorted out by the FSS.
So all right, with that
I would like to add one point here about exporter. But in case of importer, it is mandatory. The importer's name along with his FSSAI license number should be there
on the product. So the packaging material and everything for the import product has to be specifically then done for India. Great.
Yes.
So I think with that I thank Dr. Vats for his time and everybody else for listening in. So the recording of the presentation is going to be available like our last webinar also. You can access it on foodsafetyhelpline.com. And we'll be sending out emails to everybody once we have it uploaded. So I thank you everyone. We'll be in touch, and any more questions please feel free to email us and we will get back to you on mail. Thank you everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you, Dr. Saurabh.